Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, July the 15th, 2020. It is currently 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And if I was to be honest with you right now, I'm making a really bad decision, okay? I'm supposed to be on the air in 30 minutes for the Wednesday evening service. And tonight, the Wednesday evening service will be live under the VBC Bible Institute podcast. That's where we're going to be, the VBC Bible Institute podcast, and our journey through the entire Bible, which is going to take, 30 years. Okay. I'll be dead before we complete it. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 4, which is a good thing. Should be an interesting study. So I'm supposed to be on the air in 30 minutes. So why am I on the air right now? Well, I was like, okay, there's a lot of things I need to do in 30 minutes. I need to work on my Bible memory verses. I need to work on those. But man, this summer is supposed to be about Proverbs and the imitation of Christ. That's two of the things I wanted to really emphasize. The book of Proverbs and the imitation of Christ. Why did I want to do this? Well, right now the world's gone crazy and we need people out there with biblical wisdom. People looking at things from a biblical perspective. We need biblical wisdom. We do not need the wisdom that is earthly, that is sensual, and that is devilish that James speaks of, because he contrasts this wisdom that doesn't descend from above. We need a different kind of wisdom, and the church right now is caught up in so much of the arguing and debates and divisions that are so prevalent in our culture, and the church is right there in the middle of it, and we're not really being salt and light. We're not being as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, because we've lost biblical wisdom. We've lost spiritual wisdom. So I really want to emphasize Proverbs chapter 2, or not just Proverbs chapter 2, the whole book of Proverbs, but we've been in Proverbs chapter 2. So my mind was like, okay, I have a limited amount of time, and I haven't really been reading Proverbs chapter 2 over and over and over enough, and that's where we are. I need to look at that. Okay, so I grabbed my Bible, looked at Proverbs chapter 2 to see where we are, and as soon as I read it, I was like, man, I need to talk about that. I need to have everyone stop what they're doing and look at it, and even though I have a limited amount of time to try to do it, I'm going to do what I can, and then we can always come back and add to it. So please understand, this is a limited, very shortened, kind of a devotional thought thrown out here about a phrase in Proverbs chapter 2, and hopefully you'll find this to be beneficial. All right, so I don't have a lot of time, so let me try to make this very clear. Proverbs chapter 2. Proverbs chapter 2 gives us in verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4, 4 verses, 8 imperatives. These are imperatives. These are commands. These are things that we are being told we have to do. They are imperative. We need them. We have to get them. We have to do these things. And if we do these things, then shall thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. If we truly want to understand the fear of the Lord and we truly want to find the knowledge of God, we've got to do these imperatives. And these imperatives are very imperative because of the warning at the end of Proverbs chapter 1, where wisdom comes calling. Keep this idea. Remember, wisdom, she crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets, she crieth in the chief place of concourse and the openings of the gates. Wisdom comes crying out, saying, here I am, come get this godly wisdom, right? This is God's wisdom personified as a woman, and she's crying out in the streets, going, listen, take my wisdom, turn from your simplicity, turn from your foolishness, turn from all of that. But no, nobody listens. And then wisdom warns what's going to happen is you're going to end up with calamity, destruction, bad things. And then wisdom is going to basically laugh at you when that happens. But there's a little bit of hope at the end of chapter 1. The end of chapter 1, we are told that whosoever hearkeneth unto me, wisdom says, whoever will hearken unto me shall dwell safely and shall not be quiet, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. So we have a little bit of hope at the end of chapter 1. So if you take the warning, the hope, you should go, okay, I need spiritual wisdom. I don't want this to happen to me. I need spiritual wisdom. And I truly want to understand the fear of the Lord, because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. It's the beginning of wisdom. And I want to find the knowledge of God. So we should want to do these imperatives. And these imperatives are, let's go through them. My son, if thou wilt receive my words, we have to receive the words, and hide my commandments with thee. You can go back and listen to my exposition of what those words mean and how to understand them. Verse 2, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom. We need to incline our ear unto wisdom. Apply our heart to understanding. All right, so there are 4 imperatives right there. Well, when I sat down tonight here in the church, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read Proverbs 2 again, I read this, Proverbs 2:3. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge, criest after knowledge. Now, the way that reads is there's almost an emotional idea there. And it immediately made me go back to Proverbs chapter 1, where wisdom is crying out. Wisdom is crying out. And now we are given an imperative. We are to cry out. So what does this mean as it says, to cry after knowledge? Here's knowledge and we cry after it. What does that mean? Well, let's look up the Hebrew word here, right? For criest, the phrase is, let me see. I got to go to my interlinear really quick. Yea, if thou criest, right? Here is the Hebrew word.
Strong's H 7121. Kara. Kara.
All right, kara. It's used 735 times. So that means there's a wide range of meaning. 735 times. It's used a lot of different ways. Here's an outline of its biblical usage. To call out, read, cry out. To call, to cry, to utter a loud sound. To call, to cry, to utter a loud sound, to call unto, to cry for help, call with the name of God, to proclaim, to read aloud, to summon, to call oneself, to be called, It's used call, cried. It's used call 528 times, cried 98 times, read 38 times, proclaim 36 times, name 7 times, goes through. It's, let me see, I'm giving some different ideas here. That's basically the basic way that it is used. One, I looked up a commentary really quick just to get an idea of how this is used. Let me find, it's here, right here in front of me. All right. First, let's look at some different translations. Indeed, if you call out for insight, New Living Translation, cry out for insight. English Standard, yes, if you call out for insight, if you truly call out to insight, for if you cry out, if thou criest, call out, beg. Now, I love the contemporary English version. Beg as loud as you can. Beg as loud as you can. You're seeing what's being emphasized here. See what's being emphasized. One commentary put it this way. The endeavor after wisdom is not only to be sincere, it is also to be earnest, as appears from the yea, if, and the verbs crying and lifting up the voice, both of which frequently occur in Scripture as indicating earnestness. The earnestness is the counterpart of that which wisdom herself displayed in Proverbs chapter 1, verses 20 through 21. All right? So here is this slap in our face. That's what I want you to see. It's a slap in our face. This is what we need. This is the imperative we need. We need people who are crying after knowledge. They are seeking knowledge. This is a spiritual knowledge, a godly knowledge. And remember, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But we are crying out to know, to understand. a spiritual understanding, a knowledge. We do not want to operate from a position of spiritual ignorance. We don't want that. We need knowledge. But let me give you the idea of how this should sound. All right, I'm getting up from the microphone. I'm way away from the microphone, and it should sound like something like this. I need knowledge. Give me knowledge. Give me understanding. I need it. I cry out for it. That is the idea. That's the imperative. There's an earnestness to it. It's not just a sincerity. It's not just a desire that we cry out for it. Now, come on. Right there. Where do we see that in the church of people crying out for knowledge, begging for it? Man, people don't cry out to know. They don't cry out to get understanding. We have a problem. We have a problem in the church. And whenever I say that, I'm speaking generically, right? We have a problem within Christianity where there seems to be people who are content not to know. They're content. They don't want to know. They don't want understanding. They don't want knowledge. They're happy to sit in churches where the scriptures are handled at a very surface level. Nobody asks any deep questions. You're not even supposed to ask any deep questions. And if the shorter the sermon, the better. And if we got to make sure we get out of church at noon. And nobody during the week is crying out going, I need more knowledge. Give me scripture. Give me something. Let me have something. No. And then if you listen to our series where we're visiting some of the most influential churches, you listen to some of that and like, how has that church got 17,000 people? What is that? They didn't offer anything. They didn't even handle the scriptures even remotely in a way that would have really dug in to find knowledge. How earnest are you for spiritual knowledge? How much do you cry out for it? How much do you really, really, really desire it? See, it's an imperative. If you truly want the knowledge of God, if you look at it, I'm just going to stress this again. If you want to understand the fear of the Lord, and if you truly want to find the knowledge of God, then you've got to. These imperatives are there. How much do you truly cry after knowledge? And really, it's saying it in two different ways. You cry after knowledge. You liftest up thy voice for understanding. You liftest up thy voice for understanding. I think we have time. I've got to stop here in just a minute, but let me see if we have time to go back to the interlinear. Let's go back. Thou criest after knowledge. That's verse 3. Okay, let's go back to the interlinear. Lift us up. Lift us up. That is the word.
Strong's H 5414. Nathan.
All right. To lift us up, to give, to put, to set. This has a lot of different usage here. To lend, to lift up, to make, offer, ordain, to give, bestow, grant, permit, ascribe, employ, devote, consecrate, dedicate. So it's this idea of to give, to dedicate, to give up to this idea of your voice so that you may obtain understanding. So both of them is though this earnest pursuit. Now we'd have to do a little bit more work there because the definition really there doesn't help. I have to see maybe what the root is and how it's used in a number of places. But the idea is to incline or to cry after knowledge and to lift up your voice for understanding. How much are you crying out for it? How much are you lifting up your voice to get it? How much are you seeking it? Wisdom, and Proverbs 1 is the one going out in the street crying out. She's crying out for people to turn and to come get that wisdom, right? She's there. Well, how much now are you crying out to get that wisdom? Are you demonstrating that same earnestness, that same desire? Wisdom has the desire for people to get that wisdom. Are you crying out to receive it? Are you earnestly desiring it? We need churches filled with people who are crying out for knowledge and understanding, crying out for discernment, crying out for spiritual wisdom. There needs to be a hunger for it. And I'm telling you, we have a church where the church is plagued with no one hungering and thirsting for wisdom and knowledge. And they demonstrate a lack of desiring for it, because if they were truly desiring for it, man, they would be studying the Bible, reading the Bible, listening to sermons. They would be pursuing it. What are you crying out for? What are you lifting up your voice for? I bet you throughout the day you'll cry out, lift up your voice to get food, or you'll cry out and lift up your voice because you're tired and how you so desperately need sleep, or you're not going to survive another minute. Or you cry and lift up your voice because you desperately need some time off, or you lift up and cry out all the time about all the things you want and all the things you need. How much of your speech is filled with crying out and lifting up your voice because you need spiritual wisdom and spiritual discernment and spiritual understanding? I think if pastors, all of a sudden their people started crying out saying, please, we need more, give us more scripture, give us more teaching, I think pastors would probably all drop dead of heart attacks. Yeah, I think it says a lot. All right, I'll stop right there because I've got to be on the air in 15 minutes and I got to get everything set up. So, all right, this was a risky endeavor, but man, that really, really just, when I read that, I'm like, and to make sure you understand that, I'm saying it to myself. I mean, there's times I lift up my voice to cry out, lift up my voice and I cry out, and it's about, oh, I'm hungry, I need food, or all, all the different things. And sometimes I'm like, wait, how much did I cry out today for spiritual food and spiritual wisdom? I mean, whoa, it's not, it's not you, it's me. Okay, I'm right there with you. All right, we'll stop right there. Just a little devotional thought on Proverbs. Man, spend some time this summer in Proverbs. Really, spend some time in Proverbs and share what you're getting. Share if you're reading Proverbs and there's something you don't understand, something you struggle with, email me so that we can really go in and try to get as much out of Proverbs before the summer is over. All right, I'll stop right there. Everyone have a great evening. I'll be back on the air in about 15 minutes under the VBC Bible Institute. You'll want to have the Blue Letter Bible app on your device, and you'll want to have a Bible open and a notebook. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 4 for the VBC Bible Institute. Should be a good time of study, so join us, all right? That's at 7 o'clock under the VBC Bible Institute, the Bible Institute podcast, right? It's available on all platforms, but to listen to us live, you need the Spreaker app, so download the Spreaker app. All right, there you go. All right, have a good one. God bless.